Hey everybody, and welcome to MMORPG's exclusive first look at Y2K. That's right, this one's going to be all about the latter half of our acronym, the RPG, because we've got a brand new, up-and-coming, independent JRPG from ACK Studios. You've probably never heard of ACK Studios, and that's not without reason. This is, after all, going to be their first game, and one of the key people to this team is none other than our very own, formerly our very own, Cassandra Call. You might remember Cassandra from her Independency articles. She used to write a lot of editorials for us, reviews and previews back at PAX and E3 and stuff like that. Then she moved on. She worked for The Verge, and I believe now she works for US Gamer, but she's also making games independently with a small studio team, and this is Y2K. A very strange, very unique JRPG that's going to be coming out later this year on PS4 and other platforms. And you've got a nice early look here at the alpha first playable build that the press has been given. I know you're wondering, well, it's not an MMO, why should I care? Well, if you're really only here for the MMOs, you might not care. But if you're like a lot of our readers and a lot of our viewers, and you like all things RPG, whether they're online or offline, you might be interested in this one, especially if you're interested in rather quirky and odd JRPGs like the Persona series, because that's a lot what Y2K reminds me of. So you play this character, this red-headed, ginger-bearded guy who sort of comes home from college after a nice opening vignette of his boring bus ride home, to find his house rather empty, with nothing but his memories and his room exactly the way he left it when he went off to college, and a note from his mom saying to go out and get some groceries and stop being lazy, basically, even though this is his first time back home. So he decides to leave the house, but before he can, he gets a strange phone call, and this is all you hear on the other end of the line. The needle of the record player has dropped. The sound that the world now hears will change the nature of all realities, both yours and mine. Now that's creepy enough, right? That's like a prank call. You just think, whatever. And so our main character here, he thinks, sure, strange, that's funny, okay. And he leaves, and he goes off to kind of get the groceries, but he stumbles across this cat, and he starts having this sort of inner monologue about this cat that he sees that has a mustache or whiskers like Salvador Dali, and he goes to pet the cat, but the cat grabs his mother's grocery list and then runs off into the forest. Of course, you follow him, and that's where it gets stranger and stranger. It goes on, and you sort of discover a new party member. You discover an anthropomorphic panda that apparently was your toy panda, who you can use in the turn-based battle system of Y2K. Your friend, this new girl that you stumble upon in this strange world that you sort of fall into while chasing this cat. It turns out the cat is hers, and she could use the cat for other things too. And that's where the game's a bit unique. It's not like a lot of other JRPGs, because these pets are sort of like world items that you can use. Like, for example, the panda bear will create a block of land or mass that you can jump on and use to walk across, make bridges to things. You can set him down on switches and activate switches. Meanwhile, the cat, you can sort of send out across gaps. If there's something floating somewhere where you can't grab it, the cat can grab it and bring it back to you. And then in battle, they have their own abilities as well. The panda bear creates this very mass defensive thing that will block attacks, incoming attacks on you, and so forth. Now, what's interesting about the combat too is that it does have timed defense quick time events too. They're not working too well in this build. They almost happen too fast. You can't really judge them right now, and hopefully they'll be tuned. They're a little bit later. But you know, if you're familiar with some other games like even South Park Stick of Truth, as weird as that is to say, or some of the Paper Mario or Mario and Luigi games from the old Game Boy style RPGs, where as the enemy attacks, you get this meter, and if you time your button presses just right, you will reduce the amount of damage you take. And if you don't time it right, because you're expected to do this fairly often, you're going to take a lot more damage. So it's really about paying attention to what kind of attack is coming and how to best defend it. And of course, you got items, you got potions, and you've got these flashy animations. Now, the art and animations are a little bit all over the place right now. Some of the scenery is absolutely stunning and beautiful, like this windy field you walk across when you're chasing the cat early on in the game. And then some of it's a little more strange and muddy, like some of the battle scenes you see when you're fighting these rats and things like that. They just don't quite look right and finished and polished, and I'm assuming that's because we're talking about an alpha game here and there's still things that need to be touched up like that. But overall, the story of Y2K, even though I have no idea what's going on just yet, the mystery that's behind this game is very intriguing. I really want to find out more about it, but I think I'm going to have to wait for a more complete build. At least personally, that's what I'm going to do, is wait for a more complete build, because I'm really curious about what's going to happen next in the story, and that's the hallmark of a good JRPG, I think, regardless of the unfinished graphics and the little bugs here and there with the fights and the sort of the lack of polish that's on the QuickTime events right now, as I want to know what is going on here. I want to know what our main character has stumbled into. You know, if you're not a fan of JRPGs, you're probably not going to like this game, because that's what it is at its heart, and it's also just a goofy one, a weird one, a pretty heavy story going on here. What is this phone call all about, and what has Alex gotten himself into, the main character? Well, I guess we'll find out more as Axe Studios finishes up the game and shoots for its final release later this year in 2015. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this early look at the independent JRPG Y2K, and be sure to follow MMORPG.com on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Google+, all that stuff, and don't forget to visit the site at MMORPG.com, for as we get more finished builds of the game, we'll be sure to take even closer looks at Y2K from Axe Studios. Thanks a lot, guys. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at TheBillMurphy. Remember, don't let a bad pug get you down.